Hi everyone, it's Tarrant.
And Stella here from Meeple University on the Dutch Tower. Thanks for joining us.
Today we'll be teaching you how to play Planted, game designed by Phil Walker Harding and published by Buffalo Games.
Let's get to it.
In Planted, players compete against each other to have the greatest and most thriving garden. Players will draft cards around the table in order to add new plants to their gardens, add tools and decorations to their gardens in order to enhance their points and capabilities, and gain the resources they need to make their plants grow. The player who gains the most points from plants and decorations over 4 rounds of play will win the game. To set up, lay out the nursery board. Find all of the smaller cards with the planted back and separate them into 2 piles. The items, which are the grey tools or the purple decorations, each of which has a title at the top of the card, and the resource deck, which is all other cards without a title. Shuffle these face down and place them in their slots on the nursery board. Take the larger size plant cards and find the 6 cards which show beginner under their title. Place a random beginner card above each player's player board and return leftovers to the box. Shuffle the rest into a face-down draw pile and then draw the top cards face up into these slots on the nursery board. Finally, lay out piles of the game's 5 resources, and these come in cloth bags which you can turn into little bowls by turning up the ends if you wish. You're now ready to play. Planted is played in 4 rounds. In each round, players will first draft cards which will allow them to gain new plants, new items, and the key plant growing resources, light, water, and plant food. At the end of each round, players will cash in these resources to see their plants grow and propagate, which is the primary way of scoring points. The player with the most points after 4 rounds is the winner. So now let's have a look at how to go through the card draft and how to play the cards. At the start of the round, each player draws 6 resource cards and 2 item cards into a starting hand of 8. Simultaneously, players look at their cards and then choose the one they wish to play on this turn. That card is placed face down below the player's player board, and the rest of the cards are placed to the left of the board in rounds 1 or 3, or to the right of the board in rounds 2 or 4. Once all cards are chosen, players now reveal these cards face up simultaneously. If you chose a resource card, then gain the matching resource tokens. If the supply ever runs out of tokens, you can place one here to represent 4 of that resource. If the chosen card is a tool, which is one of the grey coloured cards, then move it into your tool collection, and you can have as many tools as you wish. Tool cards make future resource cards more valuable. Here, for example, every single water card you played in future would gain you 1 water, as well as 1 green thumb. You can have more than one of the same tool, and their benefits are additive, so a future single water card would give you these resources. If you chose a decoration, which is one of the purple cards, then move it into your decorations area, and you can have as many decorations as you wish. These have no further effect during the game, but will be worth end of game points if you can meet the objective on the card. Instead of using a card for its printed effect, you can instead use any card in the game to purchase a new plant for your garden. If you wish to do this, when players are flipping their cards over, you must loudly say the word nursery. You now choose 1 face-up plant card from the nursery board and place it into the next open space above your player board. Then replenish the nursery board from the top of the deck. Your board can hold a maximum of 6 plant cards. Once your board is full, you can't take this action anymore. And if multiple players choose nursery on the same turn, then you resolve your selections in order, starting from the player whose card has the lowest number in its bottom left corner, and finishing with the player with the highest number. Once all players have resolved their cards, you'll now hand your remaining cards to your neighbour in the appropriate direction, to the left in rounds 1 and 3, and to the right in rounds 2 and 4. You will now receive the same number of cards from your other neighbour, and players will once again look through these cards and choose one to play for the turn. Play continues in this manner until each player has played 8 cards and there are no cards left to pass. You'll now resolve the end of the round, and simultaneously players will spend their resources to make their plants grow. To grow a plant, spend the resources showing at the bottom of the card. So for the string of pearls you would spend 2 sunlight. Then place a growth token onto the lowest open space on the card. So here it's this 1. The number that you cover is the number of points that growth token is worth at the end of the game. There are only 3 types of resources you'll see on these cards: sunlight, water, and plant food. But there is a 4th type of resource you can gather, the green thumbs. And when you're paying resources, you can spend 2 green thumbs as if they were any one other resource. So this would be acceptable as the cost of the spider plant. You may only grow each plant by 1 level per round. So if I had another 2 sunlight resources, I could not spend them to do another level on the string of pearls this round. Once you've fed any plants you can spend your leftover resources on propagation jars. And to do this, you spend any 2 resources, sun, water, or plant food, to place 1 growth token onto the jar's space. Each growth token here at the end of the game will be worth 1 point. Once again, you can spend 2 green thumbs as any one other resource at this point, but 1 green thumb does not add up to a resource. So with these remaining resources, it would not be enough to fill a propagation jar. Once you've finished with both plants and jars, any leftover resource tokens you have are discarded back to the supply. Once all players are done, any cards in your play pile are discarded to their appropriate discard piles. Depending on which player count and round you're in, you may now shuffle the discard piles back into the decks. And this occurs after round 3 in a 3-player game, or round 2 in a 4 or 5-player game. It doesn't happen at all at 2 players. Then proceed to the next round. After 4 rounds are complete, players will count up the final scores for their gardens. Each growth token on a plant scores points based on the number covered. Each growth token on a propagation jar scores 1 point, and decorations score according to their printed objectives. Most of these gain their points based on the types of plants in your garden, whether they're hanging, sit on a shelf, or stand on the floor. The workbench scores for your tools, and the indoor greenhouse scores for completely filled plants. The player with the highest score wins. If tied, whoever has the most total growth tokens on their plants breaks the tie, and if still tied, victory is shared. And that's how to play Planted.
If you find this video useful, please help us by hitting that like button and subscribe to the Dutch Tower if you haven't already done so.
And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please leave that in the comment section below.
Thank you for watching and see you next time.